Welcome to the Brad Lang Show. I am Brad Lang. Most people would agree that when you set a goal, you work hard, and you persist through any difficulties, you will accomplish that goal. But is that still the case? Now, does talent, hard work, and skill still matter? Now, from campaigns and protests across the country claiming that we need a $15 minimum wage, to the belief that all movies and TV shows should have demographics that reflect what a beautiful and diverse culture we have. I mean, how often do we hear we need more women or more people of color in Congress because it would be more representative of society? I mean, what kind of bullshit is that? I mean, there's a job available. They take applications every 2 years. So instead of saying, oh, we need, support someone and help them run a campaign. It's not like the qualifications are that high for Congress. I mean, look at these all-stars. It's ironic that it's always someone on the left saying it too, because it seems to me it isn't the Republican Party that needs to address their diversity problem. The last presidential election, the Republicans entered the primaries with a black man, a woman, and an Indian, and a ton of white dudes. But what do we get from the Democrats? Rich, old, and white. Now, speaking of white, do you remember a while back the whole Oscars so white drama? I mean, do you really have so little to do with your time that you actually expended the energy to type that hashtag? Now, I promise you will never see a BET so black hashtag. But then again, I don't care that Taylor Swift is never going to win one because your identity doesn't mean anything to me. Now, I don't care what color you are or what pronoun you use. I only care about what you, as a person, say or do. Now, take the case of Chelsea Manning. No, Manning. Wrong Manning. Okay. Chelsea Manning is an example of identity over actions. In 2013, Bradley Manning was sentenced to 35 years in prison for leaking classified information to WikiLeaks. One of the last actions of the Obama presidency was commuting the remainder of now Chelsea Manning's sentence. And since being released, she has become a practical star of the resistance movement to Donald Trump. Now, hidden amongst the overuse of these emojis are gems such as these on Chelsea's Twitter. I will give it to her. Chelsea Manning comes off as way tougher than Bradley Manning ever did. But it would appear that it doesn't really matter what you've done as long as you're part of a protected group. I mean, you can even be convicted under the Espionage Act and still lead protests against the government 4 years later. Now let's move to the NFL. Sports. It's the epitome of merit-based achievement. You either make the cut or you go play baseball. I mean, that is, unless you take a stand, or knee rather, in protest of the police. Now, Colin Kaepernick, formerly of the 49ers, was once one of the hottest quarterbacks in the league. He took the San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl in only his second season, which is nothing to scoff at. I mean, that made him the sixth youngest quarterback to ever play in a Super Bowl. Ever. And they damn near won the thing. Now, when you're keeping company with the likes of Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, and Dan Marino as some of the youngest to take your team to the big dance, I mean, of course people are going to wonder, why on earth is he out of the NFL? Well, that's partly because his performance dropped precipitously since then, and because he's a huge distraction to the team. It's his last 2 seasons in the NFL. He threw 22 touchdowns. 22. Only completing under 60% of his passes. Now, comparably, Tom Brady threw 64 touchdowns. Eli Manning threw 60 and Ben Roethlisberger threw 50, and they all had over 60% completion percentages. And at the end of the day, I mean, even disregarding his pedestrian stats, he didn't look good doing it. Kaepernick was increasingly uncomfortable on the field and never took a true leadership role. As a business decision, do you keep someone like this on your team for the sake of not sparking a political backlash, or do you cut him to make room to sign other players with more upside who might actually make your team good? Spoiler alert, you cut him. I mean, he's still talented and by all means capable enough to be an NFL player, but that's not the point now. I mean, ever since taking a knee during the national anthem last year, Kaepernick has made it very clear that he would rather make political points than millions of dollars. And that's fine. I mean, you are free to do so. But don't act surprised and appalled when another team isn't going to gamble on signing you and the inevitable political circus that you bring with you. I mean, that didn't stop his supporters from crying racism because everything is racism. I mean, let's just ignore the number of black men the NFL has made into millionaires. Racism. Now, Kaepernick's supporters have made hashtags and social media campaigns, and they've even protested outside the NFL's New York City offices to get him a spot on a team. Well, guess what, snowflakes? It just doesn't work that way. I mean, just because you support his taking a knee, or think his pig cop socks were a stinging commentary on police violence, it's not up to the NFL. And it's certainly not up to you whether this man ever plays another game in the NFL. Look, boys and girls, let this be a lesson to you. Sometimes claiming you're a victim of whatever the boogeyman of the day is certainly going to get you attention. Then there will be plenty of people who support you. But you're always going to look like an asshole. To stay up to date on all the latest content and videos, be sure to click subscribe, and you can find me on Twitter @BradLangShow. Thanks for watching.